Hello everyone, good day para sa mga worship team members. Since maglisod man ta og meet face to face, sumuni ron nga magpa-high-tech ta. Gamit ta og video lecture para sa atong discipleship. Ingon nga mga worship team leaders and instrumentalists about ta sa calling sa Ginoo para sa ato. We know nga dako o buluhaton ta para sa Dios. So man kinahanglan mo better ta sa paghimo sa kabubuton sa Ginoo, labi na sa atong pag-lead. So man kinahanglan ta nga mag-discipleship. So ang atong discipleship material is entitled A Book by Zack Hicks. Zack Hicks. A book entitled The Worship Pastor. Okay? So mao ni siya. A call to ministry for worship leaders and teams, specifically made yun ni para sa ato as worship team, that we are not merely worship leaders but worship pastors. Dako kay na siya nga calling, dako nga challenge para sa ato. Okay? So ani nga video mag-discuss ta bahin sa introduction ani nga book. I will be sending the activity after ani sa atong group chat. So please answer the activity. Then ang chapter 1 na gi-upload na nako. You have to access that one, ang chapter 1. Then answer also the questions nga naa sa activity sa chapter 1. So kani introduction na ni siya. Introduction pa. Okay? Kani nga introduction challenging kay ni para sa kada usa sa ato. It's in the form of a letter. Okay? So tanaw na to. Mo nang iyang introduction. Ready or not, you're a pastor. Dili ta worship leader lang. Dili ta part lang sa worship team. But we are pastors di ay. Sugdan niya sa quote ni John Whitfield 2003, what the church needs most is not another hymnal, large choirs, more technology, a revised prayer book, or another set of published scripts. Dili na kinahanglan sa church ang lain pang mahimnal, dagko nga mga choirs, or technology, or revised prayer book, or unsa pa nga mga instruments nga kinahanglan sa church. What the church needs most is discerning, prayerful, joyous people who treat their work as worship planners and leaders as a holy pastoral calling. Imagine mo nagipangita gikinahanglan sa church, discerning, prayerful, joyous people who treat their work as worship planners and leaders as a holy pastoral calling. It's a holy pastoral calling ang imong pagka-worship leader. It's a pastoral calling. So isugdan ni Zack Hicks ani nga letter. Dear worship leader, para ni sa tanang worship leaders, tanan nga members sa worship team. First paragraph yun sa, you have an extraordinary job with high stakes and grand opportunities. High stakes and grand opportunities. Dako kayo nga opportunity para sa ato as worship leaders. Kani nga buluhaton nga gihatag sa Dios. You aren't just a song leader. Dili lang kuno ka song leader. Dili lang ka lead musician. Your set list aren't just inspiring medleys of well-glued songs. So ang atong line-up dili lang na siya mga songs lang ordinary. You aren't merely on a stage, and those people out there aren't merely the audience. So, dili ka na lang sa stage or kanang mga tao nga na nasa congregation, dili na audience lang. They are Christ's bride. They are Christ's bride. God's beloved, gathered in from the four corners of the world that they might be reclaimed by and re-aimed toward the author and perfecter of their faith. Hinduman na nato that once we lead in the church, kana sila nga mga tao nga atong gilid, they are not ordinary people. They are the bride of Christ. Pasauno na ni Kristo. Giusa aron sa pagpangita sa author and perfecter sa ilang faith. They are disciples, followers. What you do and how you lead have a direct and formative impact on their journey of faith. Kasi ginabuhat nimo sa stage, giunsa nimo pag-lead ang praise and worship, naa nay impact sa ilang paglakaw, sa ilang pagtuo. Imagine, dako kayog impact ang imong worship leading. Whether you know it or not, you are pastoring them. E kay bawa man kaurwa, you are pastoring them. Each and every week, you are helping people answer the question, how do I approach God? Kada simana nga mag-lead ka sa praise and worship, you are helping the people answer the question, saan na pagduol sa Diyos? Every worship service consistently shapes the faith of God's people by training them on what relating to God looks like. Kada worship service, ina-train nato ang mga katawhan ug unsay itsura, unsaon pag-relate ngadto sa Dios, unsaon nga makasuod ang Ginoo, ma-closer to God. And faith shaping is pastoral work. Ang pag-mold sa faith, ang pag-shape sa faith sa mga Kristiyanon is a pastoral work. Buluhaton sa usa ka pastor. Ready or not, you're a pastor. As a worship team leader, you're not just a leader, you are a pastor. Ready or not, you're a pastor. Each and every week, you put words into people's mouths that become the language they will use to relate to God the other 6 days of the week. Kada simana, ikaw may naghatag og mga words aron nga makarelate sila sa Dios sa 6 days nga wala sila sa church. We wish people were regularly reading their Bibles and consistently engaging on life community. Gusto nato nga kada adlaw magbasa ta sila sa Bible. But if we're honest, many aren't. Daghan sa mga katawhan nga atong gikaatomong sa church usahay dili adlaw-adlaw ang ilang pagbasa sa Bible. The only way many learn how to talk to God is through the words, lyrics, and prayers of the services you lead. Pamaagi ra nila nga makisulti sila sa Dios, pinaagi ra sa mga words, sa songs nga imong gilid, sa mga prayers nga imong ginahimo during sa imong pag-lead. Those things all come together as the corporate prayers of your church that week, teaching the people how to express their private prayers. So tanan nga atong ginahimo during sa worship service, they are expressed as the corporate prayers of the church. Manang every time we lead, let this be a prayer to God. Let this be your prayer to God, because we are teaching the people how to express their private prayers. Prayer shaping is pastoral work. Ang pag-shape sa prayer life sa mga kaigsuunan, sa mga Kristohanon, is a pastoral work. Ready or not, you're a pastor. Each and every week, you shape the beliefs of the people who gather. Imagine, kada simana nga lead ka, you're shaping the beliefs, the theology of the people who gather in the church. Your songs and words don't just inspire, they teach. Ang mga kanta nga atong ginagamit, ang mga adlibs nga atong ginaistorya, we are teaching the people. They help people answer their basic questions. Who is God? What is He like? Who am I? How do I look at this world? So we are teaching them. When we sing Hosanna, Hosanna, we are teaching them, what is Hosanna? What do you mean by Hosanna? How can we relate to God? Ana nga song. Your words and songs shape people's theology, and that kind of teaching is pastoral work. We are shaping the theology of the church, the theology of the Christians who are in the worship service, and that is a pastoral work. Ready or not, you're a pastor. Each and every week, you are informing people's knowledge of what mediation between God and humanity looks like. Gina-inform nato ang kahibalo, ang knowledge sa mga people. Kung sa itsura sa dihang magtagbo ang Dios ug ang tao. What mediation looks like. Kung magtagbo ang Dios ug tao, what happens? You're answering for God's people a fundamental human question. How am I ushered into God's presence rightly? How am I ushered? Unsa man ko pagdala nga sa presensya sa Dios? That is shaped by how you lead. Your actions and leadership, not merely your songs. You are not song leaders, but worship leaders. Answer this question. Who ushers people into God's presence? Kinsa bang magdala sa mga katawan sa Ginoo paduol sa iyang presensya? Who makes their worship acceptable? Kinsa ba ang maghimo sa worship sa mga katawan nga madawat sa Dios? Ikaw ba? Is it you, the worship leader? Or is it Jesus by the Holy Spirit? Worship leader, do your prayers, countenance, leadership, and song selection point people to the one mediator between God and humanity? Sa imo bang pag-lead? Ang tanan bang imong ginahimo? Even the countenance, the atmosphere, your radiance, how you lead, and your songs, do they point people to Jesus? You see, a pastor's principal job is to point people to Jesus. Mga pinmino nga bulaton sa pastor, to point people to Jesus. Ready or not, you are a pastor. Pastor ka, and so on. As part of the worship team, you are a pastor. Each and every week, you are looked up to as an example and a leader. You have a sphere of immediate influence. Kung ginaka sa front, sa church, people will look up to you. People will observe you as a leader, as an example of their life. And you give influence. Maka-impluensya ka sa imong kapwa batanon, sa mga Christians sa church, mga members sa church, mga visitors. You have an influence because you stand in front of people and lead them in God's holy worship. Okay, at nakasatubangan. Stand in front and you lead people to worship. You are given the status of leader, worship leader. Most disciples of Christ look to mentors and leaders to lead them and help them grow. Para ma-lead sila, mangita sila og leader. Para ma-mentor sila, mangita sila og mentor, leader, aron mo-grow sila. Tungod kay naka, because you are regularly up front, you are one of those people. Nakapirmi sa atubangan, usakaan ang mga katawhan nga makatabang sa pag-grow sa uban nga mga Kristohanon. If you feel under-equipped and unqualified, don't take these feelings as a sign you're not called. Amo na ka, ay, pastoral work. To be a worship pastor, dili ko qualified. Wa ko'y kakayahan. So wa ko tawag sa Dios ani. No, God is in the business of pouring Himself out through weak vessels. Sa pag-unsa ta kaluya, bisag unsa pa ta ka way kakayahan o dili angayan, God will qualify us and He will give you grace for the journey. Hatagan ta sa Ginoo grasya sa atong journey to become worship pastors. Please don't waffle any longer in the untruth that the pastoral work is all being done by the individuals with pastor in their title. Ayaw na po ibutan sa muna na buluhaton sa pastor para rasa na i-pastor nga title. No, it's not about the title. You may not have the heading on your business card or online profile, but that doesn't change the fact that your work is inherently pastoral. You are a pastor. Bisan pa wa kay title sa pastor, hindi ka pastor, tawgon. Pero ang buluhaton nimo as worship leader, as part sa worship team, is inherently pastoral. That's why you are a pastor. Muna yung challenge sa Ginoo sa ato. As part of the worship team, as part of the Levites sa atong generation, to stand up for God, not just as song leaders, not just as instrumentalists. In fact, dili lang worship leaders, but as worship pastors. Because in pastoring, we care for people. We care whether or not they enter into the presence of God. We care whether or not they are able to lift up their hands in worship. We care whether or not naapay kabugaton sa ilang kasing-kasing. And we want that kanang kabugaton nga mawala. Pinaagi sa tabang sa Dios. That's why, nini nga 2024, as we start in our discipleship sa worship team, let it be our goal. Let it be our goal na mahimo ta effective sa atong calling. Because you are a pastor. As a worship team member, you are a pastor. As a worship leader, you are a pastor. As an instrumentalist, you are a worship pastor. And everything you do in that stage every Sunday has a pastoral impact on the life of the people in the church, in the congregation. So in the next few chapters, we will be learning what are the roles of the worship pastor. So may balabuluhaton sa worship pastor. So may atong mga kinahanglan mahibawaan sa pagka-worship pastor. Okay? So, tanawa ang chapter 1 after sa activity na makomplete nimo. Na activity ang send sa group chat, use the Google form, be connected online, and answer the activity. Magulat ko sa answer nimo and proceed to chapter 1. The worship pastor as a church lover. Okay? So, I hope excited ka para sa sunod ng mga learnings nga atong paghimuon as we delve deeper into the calling of God as worship pastors. Have your notebook ready? Have your pen ready? And always, before you answer, pray. Pray ngadto sa Dios. Katabangan ka nga mahimo nimo ang iyang kabubuton. Ang iyang tawag para sa imo. Okay? Thank you. And let's go.